Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Steve Ramona. Business with a servant heart. Listen to the podcast. Steve Ramona. We're all about to talk on life. Our guest will share his life story. We want you to success in life. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk on life. We're gonna talk on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are gonna witness.
Shout out to my sponsors, A Mind for All Seasons. Your brain is your greatest competitive edge, so why not optimize it? Just text OPTIMIZE to 72000, 72000 for instant access to 6 quick videos that help you think faster, remember more, and stay focused longer. A big thanks to Epic App, the 4-step storytelling system I use every day to connect and to convert. Try it free. Email me at stever1961@gmail.com. That's stever1961@gmail.com, and I'll get you the free app. Doing Business with a Servant's Heart was just named top 6 in small business marketing. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona, and today I'm excited because I'm a sports nut, and when people are successful in sports, I always use this bridge. Sports and life cross over all the time. And a disclaimer here, kids need to be in sports. I know it's going away. I think there's a turn and it's coming back. But we're going to talk to somebody so successful in sports, but more importantly, she's successful in life. And she's going to share her details with us. Coach Sherry, welcome to the show.
Hey, Steve, I am so honored to be here, to be speaking the same speak. We speak the same speak. So I'm so honored to be in this conversation with the idea that we're going to create a space for other people to learn and to evolve and to, I want to say this word, to come to know self-love even more.
Yeah, that's powerful. You talked about, I'm going to bring it up, you didn't know I was doing this, but personal transformation. Why is that so important to you?
Personal transformation is not just personal. Anytime that we evolve, so as we grow ourselves, we are putting that positive energy, that knowledge, that wisdom out into the world. And so now it's there for other people to grasp. It's not just us. Anytime we heal ourselves, we heal somebody else. We're healing others through healing ourselves. And it's so essential for us to think about the light that we bring by just doing the simple act of, and I don't want to say simple, the act of self-love. Learning to see ourselves in a positive light is so essential for the joy and the peace of this world.
It's funny when you say simple, because simple with self-love, some people can do it. Me and you can do it, and some people can't. And that's not a problem, but moving towards the simplicity of it. So you're doing it every day, every thought, as much as you can. Let's jump into sports. You've been super successful. National championship, the Olympics in basketball. You've worked with many, many athletes. What is your thought on the bridge between business and sports?
Well, I think 2 things are very similar. Well, maybe 3. One would be leadership. So how you lead a team is very similar to how you lead a corporate C-suite team or a leadership team, or even from the leaders to their team members. It's understanding what leadership truly is, how to get buy-in, how to get people motivated, how to get people who want to stay there, want to be a part of the team. So that's part of it. And then the team work. So understanding how to build a team, how to build a team that's going to be successful. And then third is like the attitude and the work ethic you have to have in order to make a team become successful. All those 3 are necessary, and they all move from one arena to the next. Those 3 things are not that different from athletics into the corporate arena.
And in sports, you just gave me a great idea. Boy, you're making me very smart today. You are. Coach Sherry's a smart one. So looking at sports, you're the president, the players are the employees, then your AD is your board, the president of the school is the board, because you were in college. And so there's a lot of similarities in the structure, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's always structure there. I mean, people just need to see it, because sometimes they're like, well, what do you know? You were an athlete and then you were a coach. What do you know about business? I'm like, well, if you're going to talk about your specific business, nothing. If you want to talk about leadership, I know tons about leadership. If you want to talk about, making that team work together, I've got that. And so what creates a great business is people. That's what creates a great business. And if you don't understand people, you're not going to have a good business.
So if I have a great product or service, it will make me people $1 million. If the people are not effective in my business, there could be problems there.
Absolutely. Because business is all about relationships. Relationships are the
Yeah.
business. It's the same thing with any team. It's the same thing with connection from a team to a leader. It's all about relationships. And if you don't understand that, you're not going to have a good team, a good program, a good corporation, a good organization.
Yeah. Winning leadership, I'm hearing a lot of people talk about in the last few months. What's your definition of that?
Wow, winning leadership, that starts with, again, I mean, this is crazy, but I always think it starts with self-awareness. It begins with you. It begins with your personal development. It begins with you really knowing who you are. It begins with curiosity. And then when you understand you and when you build yourself up to the level of understanding, that total understanding, and you clear up your own stuff. I mean, we all have stuff that we want to clear up. When you get rid of your things that are preventing you from being a good individual, a solid contributor to this earth, you're going to become a great leader. If you're not doing that stuff, you're going to consistently find self-sabotage. You're going to consistently have a separation between you and your team, and you're going to find struggle rather than connection.
Yeah. What do you think's the servant word tied to leadership? What's your thoughts on that? Because winning's different. That's the action. The servant leadership is action too, but it's different.
Well, yeah, I mean, as a leader, you're there to serve your people. You're not there for them to serve you. And so there's a lot of disconnect. When I first started coaching basketball, and then I would name leaders. I didn't say captains because I wanted them to get out of this, oh, captain thing. I'm the captain, and you're gonna do what I say. And I would go, okay, leaders, you're here to serve people. So you should be the first one to the gym and the last one to leave. You should be the one that makes sure every ball is picked up. You're the one who should make sure that the locker room is clean when we leave for the day. You're the one who makes sure that, I had my players tuck their shirt tails in because in basketball game you had to have your shirt tails tucked in. You got to make sure that every single player has that. You got to make sure their jewelry's off. You got to make like you're the one who does that. And if it's not done, I'm not mad at them. I'm gonna come back to you. And they're like, but coach, I just wanted to have the title. Like I just wanted to be the one that had, I'm the captain of the team. I get to meet at the front. And I'm like, no, this is all the work that you do as as the leader. And it really changed their mindset about leadership because they understood then it wasn't like they didn't get more, they had to do more. And they were like, well, that's not really fun. I go, the fun part is seeing the results of what happens when you treat your team members special, when they know that you value them so much that you're willing to tell them the things that they need to do and to change to become the best version of themselves.
And the cool thing about that, win or lose, it's still great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the cool thing. So let's use a vision of a businesses you've worked with. How do they find their true captains like you did in basketball in their business?
Well, it's so funny because this kind of comes down to succession planning, and so what that means is
Planning.
from the moment that you step into the role of a leader, you should be thinking about who can lead beyond me. So who is going to be able to take my place when I leave, or whether that's from, I decide to move to another role or another company, or I'm just ready to retire, or whatever that is. I need to develop the people that are currently on my team. And so how do I do that? I make sure that number one, I'm having conversations with them. I'm giving them projects that are going to, find out like real projects that have real results that if they don't finish the project, there's a consequence to that. I need to make sure that I'm mentoring their conversations and their relationships with other people. Like I'm going to train them in ways that they learn. So how am I training my next leaders? What books are we reading together? What podcasts, like your podcast, what podcasts are we listening together? How do we debrief that? I mean, it is consistently, and not every person wants to be a leader. And some people think they want to be a leader, and then they're like, oh, heck no, I am not going to. That means a lot more work. I mean, they just think the title's cool or the money's cool, but that is not what makes a leader a leader. It's not the title, it's not the money you get. It's really all the work you're willing to do to make your team be super successful.
I love that you said not everybody should be leaders, and that's okay. Like not everybody should be an entrepreneur. If you're 8 to 5 at Apple or Google, great. You're supporting your family. You don't need to be an entrepreneur because this is the life is a choice. It's not shouldn't be
Absolutely.
forced on you. Yeah, that's awesome. You've built a lot of leaders. Your many years I'm not going to say how many years because it's a lot of years. You look much younger than you are. I've told you that
thank
before. So great. Which leader, all these leaders you develop, what's one thing they stop doing that you've told them that you could tell the audience to stop doing this week? One thing.
Beating themselves up.
Ooh.
I would say the number one thing is that self-judgment we have, and the period of time between the mistake and the recovery. That's a recovery gap.
Yeah.
And when we're beating ourselves up because we were taught that by beating ourselves up we become better, which is actually wrong. It's the wrong teaching. Because if you're in the problem, you can't get to the solution. So when you're beating yourself up, you're still in the problem. You can't, your mind cannot do two things, two separate things at the same time. So it's really about how fast what's the grace period? How fast can you recover? How fast can you reach self-forgiveness so that you can go to the next level? And I think that's the most essential thing of a great leader is they're literally something occurs, they learn from it, they do the things necessary to get back on the right path, and they let it go. They don't keep bringing it up. They don't keep reliving it. They don't stay in that negative space because you cannot be in the problem and the solution at the same time.
So that tells me, one of my guests told me a great story. What he tells people is be human for 5 minutes. Because some people are like, oh my God, I just lost $1 million contract. Oh, that doesn't affect me. That's crap. It's affecting. That's or whatever. I lost my wife or whatever's happened in life. And I love that. It's kind of what you're saying. Be human, take care of it, solve the problem, but don't lean on it for months and years because you'll never go anywhere. It's
Yeah, because
crazy.
you're still living in the problem, right? It's not the same thing. I'll tell you a quick story.
Yeah.
A few months ago, I was about to do this huge leadership retreat for a company. And so I like to do experiential things because that's where you learn about people. They can say something, but it's harder for them to live it. So I needed to have these 2x4s cut up as part of this experiential thing. And so I went down to my barn and I was going to cut them up with a circular saw. Well, if you've ever tried to cut anything with a circular saw, it's really difficult. It doesn't cut clean. And so my dad had just given me a table saw, which I had not set up properly. I didn't have the guard on it. And I knew that if you don't set up things properly, that on a table saw, as fast as it spins, if you don't have it set up, it could kick back at you. But I was like, I can do it. Like I'll just be careful. Well, of course, I start to cut it. The wood kicks back and it hits me super hard. I mean, you got to imagine how fast that's going. And it hits me right here. And the first words, believe it or not, the first words out of my mouth was, "That's a miracle." And people go, "Seriously?" I go, "Yeah, that's a miracle because it didn't hit me in the face. Like it could have, knocked teeth out. It could have given me a bloody nose. It could have hit my glasses and whatever." And the first thought was, "That's a miracle." The second thought was, "Well, that was pretty stupid because you told yourself this was a danger and you didn't do it." But my third thought literally was, "Put this away. Go ask the neighbor. He's got something set up. He can do this in 10 minutes." Now imagine 10 years ago, not the same result. First thing I would have done I would have cursed at myself. I'd have cursed out loud and I would have said several. Second thing, I would have lived in this stupid, this was dumb, you knew better, you did it anyway. I'd have lived that forever. Third thing I would have done would have been like, I'm gonna show this machine that I can fix it. I can do this. I'm smarter than a machine. And I would have stayed out there for 3 or 4 hours to get it done. Right? And wasted all that time. So imagine the difference in how fast I moved to recovery and to grace and to getting it done than it would have been 10 years ago. So that's what I'm talking about. Did I learn a lesson? Yes, I'm never going to do that again. Like that was not smart. I knew it wasn't smart. I did it anyway. I learned my lesson, but more than that, I got something accomplished in 10 minutes and I was able to go on and do other things. And I didn't feel bad about me. I didn't have to beat up myself. I didn't have to keep carrying that guilt, that blame, that shame around. I didn't have to do that. I could move on to being successful in moving forward to whatever I needed to do that day, whether that was with a conversation with a spouse or with my dogs or with somebody, a coaching client. I mean, I was prepared. I was there. I wasn't still in that other realm of I'm a bad person.
Yeah, and so many lessons unpacked. And the big thing is go ask for support. That's what you did. And a lot of lessons are learned. People don't come from it. They pass away. They're gone. And, that's a very small percentage, but we got to think about that because that could have happened too. It could have hit you in the head and so many scenarios that were not good. And, in my eyes, God said, okay, Coach Sherry, you learned your lesson. You did, and you're sharing it with us, which I love. Tell us a story of a player that you work with that was really difficult and how you personally transform them. I'm sure you got a few of them. I'm sure there's just that one.
I do have a lot of those stories because it seems like to me, I mean, first of all, when I was a college basketball coach, they're young. So this year, you're talking about 18-year-olds, 19, 20. I mean, brain's not fully formed. They're still learning their way. They're coming from a home that could have been broken or maybe a home that's decent, but they're still on their own to make their own decisions finally. And I had a player named Jahan. And when we recruited Jahan, I always recruited on potential. Like I'm always looking at what was the potential of this player. Well, she was fast, had great jumping ability, very quick, strong. And so I was like, yes. Well, but I didn't think about her mental capacity. Like emotionally, she was not ready. And we had 3 rough years together. I mean, 3 rough years together. And she never had achieved that level of play that I knew that she could achieve. And we often talked about the victim mentality when you blame other people outside events or circumstances for why you are who you are. And we had that conversation many times. And then right before her senior year, she comes in and she's like, Coach, I've been with you for 3 years and you haven't made me a great player. And I'm like, oh man, you just gave me the super cape. Like, man, you gave me all your power. And I said, as long as you give me your power, you're never going to become who you want to become. And she goes, but coach, you made other people All-Americans. I said, yeah. And I said, but I didn't really make them. I just gave them the opportunity. And I've given you the same opportunity. I've given you the same coaching. You're the person that's in your pathway. And she's like, wait a second, wait a second, wait a second. She goes, you mean if I just take responsibility for me and I quit blaming you, my teammates, and the officials, that I'll be great? I said, oh yeah, without a doubt. She goes, okay. I go, okay. And I'm telling you, the change in her was it was unreal. Like it was unreal. So she just started taking responsibility. And from that point on, I could do almost anything to her and she'd find success. So we would go in a game. I mean, we'd go to practice and I'd put the worst player on her team. Like they're playing 2-on-2, she'd win. We'd go to 3-on-3 and I'd put the 2 worst players on her team and her team would win. We'd go in a 5-on-5 scenario. Her team would be down with 6 minutes, with 2 minutes to go, they'd win. So we started playing games the next year and she was just phenomenal. And other teams knew that she was going to be the one we'd go to. End of the game, I go, hey, Jahan, we're going to go to you. The other team's going to know we're going to go to you. They're probably going to double team you. Are you going to score? She goes, oh, yeah, give it to me. And she would. I mean, you think about that shift, and it was in her mindset because she always had the talent, always had the talent. She just needed to start taking responsibility for her and quit looking for the blame.
Wow, you picked an incredible story.
Well, she
I'm
was
sure
All-American, by the way, that year.
I was
So
just going to ask you, you read my mind.
she wasn't even all conference. She was all nothing until her senior year. And then we won the conference and we won the conference tournament outright because of her.
So,
Unbelievable.
so let me ask you, end of the year banquet, wherever you the end of the year, what did she say? Did she come up to you and talk to you about the change?
I don't know that we actually had that
Okay.
conversation other than we developed a great relationship. I mean, we had just struggled for 3 years. And then we developed a really good relationship together in
Yeah.
her senior year.
So that leads to first business. Let's talk about business. We got people listening going, okay, I've got an employee like that.
Mhm.
Got a lot of potential, but
Mhm.
they're late coming to work. They're not doing all their call, whatever that they're not
Mhm.
doing, like
Mhm.
Johan wasn't doing. What would you give them as a piece of advice?
That's funny because I just had a conversation with my coaching client about this very thing, like before I got on today. And the interesting thing is that she asked me, how much information do I give them? Like I can see what they're doing. I said, well, if they're not ready for the information, don't give it to them. Start planting seeds, right? I mean, instead of saying to somebody, you're late, so let's just, I'm going to dock you, which you should have like consequences for not doing the things you're doing. I'm
Yeah.
100% behind that. And beyond that, let's find out why you're consistently late. What is this struggle going on? Yes, look, if you don't come in till then you're docked X amount of dollars. That's consequence. And what is going on? Let's figure this out. What's happening? And let's have that conversation and let's learn more about the person. And then you start doling out little seeds for them to think about. Give them something to think about. Help them learn something they don't know. Because people are the way they are because they don't know better, right? So if you understand that the reason they show up a certain way is because they don't know better, how can you help them to learn better? What are you doing to help them get to a new level of understanding? What books are you suggesting? What books are you reading together? What podcasts are you listening to, like this one? What podcasts are you listening together? What discussions are you having? How are you growing your team? Because if people don't grow on their own very often, I mean, Steve, you do, I do. It's one of we're lifelong, learners. The top C-suite executives read more books in a year than most people read in their lifetime. So, but other people don't understand the gift of continual learning and knowing yourself and knowing how you can change you to live a better life. They just don't know. So your responsibility is to help them by planting little seeds, not all at once, but little seeds to help them grow.
And that's beautiful because you overwhelm them with too much information, nothing sips in. So just a little bit, hey, read this little book. Watch. I love the audience. I hope you wrote that down. That's a huge tip. We're coming to the end here, but this is the other side of it. I get asked this. I've worked with an employee. I've tried to do everything, and maybe talk about a player you work with that you did everything you could, and it came to the point where, in your case, they never played, or in this case, the employee had to be let go.
Mhm.
How long do you let that go? What's the journey with that?
Well, I mean, the first thing you have to understand, if somebody's not coachable, they're never going to get it.
Oh,
They're just
okay.
not. That's the first, I've had many discussions with CEOs about letting somebody go. And it's like, okay, the first thing you need to know, are they coachable? So when you walk in and you're talking about some of the things they need to change, are they receptive? Are they willing to do something about it? Are they defensive? Are they fighting against you? Are they calling you like you're the god reasons? I mean, all those things are showing you they're not coachable. If they're not coachable, they're never going to change. So what they're doing to your team and to your company, your organization, is they're going to continue to hurt them and harm them. And remember, you're giving them a choice. So, the first thing you always want to do is to put them on an employee improvement program with a deadline, right? There's a real deadline. You've got to have measurable ways to determine whether or not they're succeeding in their program. If they're not, you give them a second. And by the time the end of the second, you're telling them at the end of the second one, if you're not improved, you know, you're choosing to be let go. I mean, you're really upfront with what the consequences are of their choices so that they know. But if somebody's not coachable, I can guarantee you they're not going to get better. There's no magic fairy that's going to come in. There's nothing that you're going to say or do that they go, ah, like they have to be willing to be coached and they have to be willing to make some changes or they shouldn't be there. They
Yeah.
should be somebody else's problem.
It
You're just
reminds me
giving
of,
them the
yeah,
opportunity to know that.
it's a beautiful message. Again, audience, I hope I wrote that. That's the big thing for their coachable. Because Jovan, when you said, hey, I just took your power away, and you said, hey, you got to take it back. She wasn't coachable. She wouldn't have been All America. She wouldn't have played. She
Mm-mm.
wouldn't. All that wouldn't have happened. And the
None of
same
that would
thing.
have happened.
Yeah, yeah.
And the thing was, is that I kept saying to her like this, and I think this is so true of any leader. Look, I am totally invested in you because when you're good, I'm good. Like if there's a leader out there that's like, I want to see you, fail. Well, what they're saying is, I want to see myself fail, and that's ridiculous. You're only as good as your team. And so most leaders that I know, and I would say like 99.9% of them, all want their team to be really great because that makes them great. We're all dependent upon what our teams are for us to be good.
I love that. If they're not successful, you're not successful. Nobody wants that. And you
Mm-mm.
can ask 100 people, 100 people would tell you that. It's like one of those 100% guarantees are very few in life. So, thank you so much. Let's end with a fun improv. So, I'm going to reserve a restaurant at one of your favorite restaurants.
Mhm.
I'm going to sit with you. I want you to invite three people that have been influential in your life, whether dead or alive.
Mhm.
But to me, more importantly, since I'm sitting at the table, what food would you order for the table?
Oh man. Well, for me, it has to be gluten free. So
Beautiful.
I have to, my body, I've had challenges with my body, but for me, it has to be gluten free and then it has to have real protein. So I mean, like it has to have like chicken or steak or something like that. It has to have good vegetables. So, I'm going to order probably a good steak with probably broccoli or bok choy or kale or whatever. That's the kind of food that I want in my body. So that's the kind of
Beautiful.
food that I'd order.
I'm good for that. So, who are three people that have really influenced your life you would invite?
Wow, three people that influenced my life. This is funny because I never met Dr. Wayne Dyer, but he would be one of them. I read every single one of his books, every single one of them. I couldn't wait for them to come out. Life-changing for me because when I started reading what he was writing, it was the point, the turning point for me. It was the final understanding of the direction I needed to go to become who I've become. So that would be one. John Assaraf is somebody that I have met. He's still alive, currently a coach of mine. I would definitely put him at the table. Wonderful individual. And the third person, um, that's a little bit more challenging, but I'm thinking about somebody who was influential when I was a player. And it was one of my teammates. Her name was Mary Phil Dwight. And the reason I put her at the table is this, that she did something that nobody else had ever done for me. And it was a turning point in my life, which was I used to be a little bit rebellious, believe it or not, a little bit loudmouth, believe it or not, a little bit stubborn. And I used to fight my coaches on the Olympic team because I thought they weren't smart, which they weren't. But it didn't matter because I wasn't good at having conversations and I was always in trouble. I mean, I was always in trouble with the coaches and always getting kicked out of practice. And this particular time I get kicked out of a game. And it wasn't at this point, I could have been better about the way I responded, but I didn't know how. But my coach had asked me to give some information, and I gave it, and he kept calling me stupid, and he kept calling me names, and I just said at the time, "F it," like just forget it. And he said, "F it, F you, you're not playing tomorrow." And Mary Phil Dwight, who was my backup, like you can imagine, she was my backup. Get her opportunity to go play and take my place. She said, "I'm not playing either because what just happened was wrong." And I was like, "What? Like, you should go play. Like, you're the backup." And she's like, "What happened was wrong. And I don't believe in what happened because he was calling you names and he put you in the scenario that you reacted. And I don't believe in that." And I mean, I was tears coming down my face. My heart was like, "Oh my gosh, why would somebody stand up for me? Like, why would you do that? You have a chance." I would have done that for her. But she did it for me, and I've never forgotten that moment. And it really changed the way I felt about leadership and the way I felt about people.
What a servant's heart she was. That
Hmm.
is the exemplification of servant's heart. Wow. What a way to end this show. Well, you've been an incredible guest. I knew you would be. I love your candor and you deserve all the success you've had, and you're going to have many more. I know people are listening, want to reach out to you, Coach Sherry, and learn more and get to know you more. How can they do that?
Well, first, I want to offer anybody who's here a free discovery call. And what does that mean? That means that I will talk to you. I'll listen to your biggest challenge. I'll give you 3 takeaways that you can take away with you to change your life forever. And some people are like, "Oh, it's free. What does that mean?" Here's what it means. And to give me back, all you're going to do is you're going to go out there and rant and rave about me. That's what you do in return. Promise you can find me at Sherry at thewinningleadershipcompany.com. And that's where you can find me, thewinningleadershipcompany.com. And so I do speeches. What I give back to you is I do keynote speeches, opening, closing. I do leadership and high performance team retreats, and I do obviously this executive coaching. So please, please, please take me up on my offer. You know what? I say this all the time, and I've been on numerous podcasts. I say it to webinars I give, and less than 3% of people ever take me up on it. And this could be life changing for you.
Well, I'm going to add to that. You've given me some incredible inspiration right now. You really changed me this show. So the first 3 people in your audience that you reach out and do the discovery call, I will send you a personal development book
Woo.
from me. So make sure you mention to Coach Sherry, or you can mention to me, and I'll make sure that you have to set the discovery call, because that's the important thing. You
Mhm.
can't change it until you take action, and this hopefully will help you take action. I want that 3% to be 6%. I want that number to go up, because she could change your life. And a discovery call could be, that's it. She's not saying she's going to sell you, but she's going to transform you. And if it works and you want to work with it, then you can. So 3 people, reach out to me and we're going to take care of you. That's what we should be doing. With that being said, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you have people that you know that need help with leadership, this is a perfect podcast to share with them. You want to be transformational for your friends and family and people you meet, send them podcast links. Listen to Coach Sherry. It'll change your lives. I've got notes here. It's changed my life. It'll change others. So subscribe and get those links out. And it doesn't have to be my podcast. It's Sherry's or anybody else. By the way, Sherry, what's your podcast so they can check it out?
Olympic Minds, Leadership Beyond Limits. And we just started the podcast, so we're just going to get warmed up. And thanks to Steve, he's given me some great tips today before we went on the podcast, because he's the kind of man he is. He's a servant at heart.
Amen. And I love this. And rarely speeches, I'm speechless. But me and Coach Sherry want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you all on the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.